Good evening. Hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination news. Newsmakers Talking Points Wednesday night. And our big talking point is coming from Canada, but also from here in Jammu and Kashmir, where Omar Abdullah has taken oath as Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister. It's first since the abrogation of Article 370. Among my special guests today will be the National Conference President, Farooq Abdullah, in his first remarks since that swearing in. Also, US and Canada, are they working in tandem against India now? And what are India's options at the moment? That's the other big question we'll raise with voices from all three countries. But first, as always, it's time for the 9 headlines at 9. 12 bomb threats to airlines in 72 hours. Centre takes stock. Aviation Minister holds high-level meetings. Miner from Chhattisgarh nabbed for Mumbai hoax. Omar Abdullah takes oath as the first Chief Minister of Naya Jammu and Kashmir. Congress, not part of the government, offers support from outside, claiming it's taken the moral high ground. Justin Trudeau gets support from his Five Eyes allies, backing Canada's probe against India on the Nijjar killing. United States and the United Kingdom ask India to cooperate in the probe. Maharashtra's ruling alliance declares that its seat-sharing formula is almost finalized. Devendra Fadnavis hints that Eknath Shinde could be the CM face again. Dares the opposition to name its CM face first. Nayaab Singh Saini set to take oath as Haryana Chief Minister for a second term. Saini will be sworn in as the Chief Minister in the presence of Modi, Amit Shah and other top BJP leaders. Bengaluru submerged once again. Heavy rainfall brings India's Silicon City to a grinding halt. Roads, IT parks inundated, apartments flooded, schools and colleges remain shut. Supreme Court pulls up the pollution panel over spurt of stubble burning. Haryana and Punjab government secretaries summoned. Aam Aadmi Party blames farm fires on UP and Haryana. Former Karnataka Minister B. Nagendra makes a big charge, says ED forced him to name Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar in the alleged Valmiki scam. External Affairs Minister names and shames Pakistan at the SCO summit, calls out its terror nexus with China, says the Pakistan-China corridor is against India's sovereignty. But our top story first is coming from Jammu and Kashmir, where today Omar Abdullah took oath as the first Chief Minister of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and the first since the abrogation of Article 370. 5 ministers took oath alongside Omar, 4 from the National Conference and 1 independent supporting the National Conference government. Significantly, the Congress has not been given any cabinet position or chose not to join the government. Officially, the reason that they are giving is that statehood has still not been given. They will only join once that happens. But Gandhi siblings Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra attended the swearing-in ceremony. The Grand Old Party has vowed outside support to the Omar government. In a mega show of strength, members of the India bloc, which included Akhilesh Yadav, Supriya Sule, Sanjay Singh, Kani Mori of the DMK and D. Raja were among the key allies who were present in Srinagar. And joining me now is one of my newsmakers, the National Conference President, several times Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Dr. Farooq Abdullah. Appreciate your joining us, Dr. Abdullah. Today a special day for you and your family. Omar Abdullah being sworn in a second time after a decade must bring a lot of emotion and nostalgia to you.
Definitely so, Rajdeep. It's been a struggling road up to this day. And I'm glad people have given him the mandate that he needs.
Did you ever really think this day would come? In that period in 2019 when both you and Omar were detained under house arrest, Article 370 removed, did you ever think a day would come that Omar would come back to this post or the NC would come back with such a big majority?
we always had hope that people will trust us, and when that day comes, we will do well. But this is definitely a landslide that people have given us. With that goes the responsibilities also. It's not just the landslide victory. The responsibilities are far greater. That is the thing that we have to do.
Let's talk about those responsibilities, Dr. Abdullah, because this is a very different Jammu and Kashmir. It's not even a state. It's a union territory. There are question marks over the powers that the assembly will have, the role of the lieutenant governor. Do you believe that now that Omar has been sworn in, statehood will come within the next few months, or is that still a big challenge?
I think I'm quite sure that Prime Minister and his government will give us the statehood. They have promised this in the Parliament, and they have promised it to the Supreme Court, and I'm sure we're looking forward to working with him.
Now, is that a reach out to the Prime Minister after the bitterness of the last few years? Are you reaching out, you and Omar, and saying, look, you promised us statehood, give it to us?
Omar has reached out to him, and he was very nice to him on the phone. Wished him well, and said he will do everything to see that the state develops and state goes on.
It's interesting you're talking of this reach out to the Prime Minister, and he speaking also warmly to Omar Abdullah at a time when the Congress has chosen not to join your government. They were part of the India Alliance, as you are, but when it came to government formation, the Congress has decided to give you almost outside support. How does one interpret that?
I think, Rajdeep, we have still kept a seat for them, and I'm sure very shortly they will join the government.
But what stopped them from joining it? Is there a sense that the Congress is still wanting to wait and watch and see what the National Conference does? Because some of your agenda, which is, bring back Article 370, can embarrass the Congress in the rest of the country. Is there still a wariness between National Conference and Congress on the ground?
I think that's a national party. They have to look after their national interests. And we are not going to rock their boat at all. We don't intend to. It's our people's wish that we have to put this forward, and we will put this forward. It's not the question of running away from it.
No,
so we leave it to them.
But are you worried
we wish them well.
Are you worried that could lead to a confrontation with the LG in the first instance, given, as I said, the LG has huge powers, and Omar, before the election, told me that the worry was that the assembly was being reduced to a municipality?
I think we know that at this stage, but I'm sure Prime Minister himself, having been the Chief Minister of Gujarat, he knows how the states work. And I'm confident that this state, which has multiple problems, that he will quickly give us the statehood so that we can function.
One of the challenges is ensuring that Jammu gets the same representation as Kashmir. Omar today has made a good start, many believe, by ensuring that in his 6-member cabinet there are 3 representatives from Jammu and 3 from the Valley. There's a deputy chief minister from Jammu. But would you concede, given even your experience, this is going to be the big challenge? Jammu feels left out, and Kashmir Valley, the divide between the two could only widen.
I think we are going to meet this challenge. And as we have said, Jammu is one eye and this Kashmir is another eye. Both eyes have to function together, and we will make sure that Jammu doesn't feel left out. That is our promise to people of Jammu, and we will keep that promise.
So you're saying that Jammu is one eye and Kashmir is the other, but look at what happened in the elections. Jammu voted very differently, largely for the BJP, and the Valley voted for the National Conference. So you've actually got a government in place, but minimal representation in terms of actual MLAs elected from Jammu. So how do you then build bridges when a large part of the state feels that politically they're not effectively represented?
We have seen this before also. It's not today only. I've seen this before. when I was Chief Minister. But we met the challenge and we made sure that we work with them and they work with us. There's no other way the state can get on. Both regions have multiple challenges, and these challenges can only be met when we will come to that point of helping them out and they help us out. It's not a one-way traffic. Both have to work together.
You know, you're sounding conciliatory today. As I said, the last 5 years have seen a lot of bitterness and a lot of antagonisms. Are you saying all of that is put behind now? Are you saying, because the Prime Minister talks of a Naya Kashmir, is Farooq Abdullah also talking of a Naya Kashmir given the multiple challenges that exist on the ground?
Yes, there are multiple challenges. We hope we both can build Naya Kashmir, a happy Kashmir, prosperous Kashmir, without any bitternesses. Hindu, Muslim, Sikh together, Christians, small minority, but work together. That is how we'll make a better Jammu and Kashmir. It is crown of India, and we want to see this crown shining. That's what we'll do.
Let me get this clear. You're very clear that statehood must be restored. On Article 370, would you accept it's going to be much more difficult, if not impossible, for you to restore it, given the fact that the BJP has made it clear that's a red line, no question of going back in time?
I quite agree. It's a big challenge. But we're not going to leave the challenge out. But we'll work for the state and the center. Strength of both is important. We have nuclear powers on our Western Front. On the Northern Front, we have another nuclear power. And unless we both join hands together, we won't be able to keep them away. That's our major challenge also.
Is there any possibility? I know Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Mallikarjun Kharge were there at the swearing in, so it seems you're very much part of the India alliance. But there have been this persistent speculation that any government in Srinagar needs to work with Delhi. Given there's the BJP government in Delhi, any chance of the future of any kind of an arrangement, alliance with the BJP, or is that also a red line that you rule out?
Let me tell you, I take you back to VP Singh's government. When Rajiv Gandhi lost his seat, I was in Houston, and the journalist asked me the same question. What is your relationship going to be with the central government? I said, party relation to partyship is different, and the government to government relation is different. We have to work with the government. How will we other progress? How will they find a state progressing, peaceful, moving forwards, unless we both cooperate?
You know, I have to ask you this, Farooq Abdullah. One charge, and it was made during the campaign itself, and even before that, is dynasty Raj. There's a sense that the Abdullahs, and this goes back to your father, Sheikh Abdullah, you became 5-time Chief Minister, now your son, second time, have dominated the valley, and thereby it is family Raj. What will you say today when you saw your son taking over? Is this the return of family Raj or a Naya Kashmir?
What is family Raj? People elect. It is not you and I are the only ones. It is people who have elected. This question of family Raj and this Raj and that Raj, I think should be put behind. It's a democratic country. It's a secular country. And in a democratic country, anybody can be elected, anybody can be defeated. So let's start thinking of not family Raj, people's Raj.
No,
it's people's Raj.
No, it's a nice word, sir. So you're saying people's Raj, but the truth of the matter is the Abdullahs have dominated the politics of the Kashmir Valley. Even in this election, it almost seemed as if people saw no options beyond the National Conference because you've been the oldest party of the valley, dominated by one family.
You know, it started in 1931. 38, it became National Conference. Ever since that day, people have trusted in this party, in the leadership. And I hope they continue to trust and we continue to do good for the people. The day we fail, we'll be out. Somebody else will be coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So this story of saying family Raj, kindly put it behind.
What will
it's not a family Raj.
What will you tell the people? Raj. What will you tell the people who say don't trust the Abdullahs? The Abdullahs cannot be trusted. You've heard these comments over the years. Some have even called you anti-national at times. What will you tell them on this day?
I tell them, if we were anti-national, we're anti-India, we wouldn't have been here. Kashmir would never been part of India. If Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah, Kashmir would not have been there, and he would not have friends like Gandhi and Nehru, Pakistan was on our border, and we are a Muslim majority state. Easily we could have gone there, but we chose India. And we continue to choose India because India is our home. Let that be clear to people of India who listen to your program.
My final question...
Don't dub us. We are Muslims, yes.
Yes.
But we are Indian Muslims. Never doubt us.
My final question...
That is what I want your program to give this message to the people.
Sure, it's a strong message you're giving. My final question to you, your son runs the show. There's talk of you coming to the Rajya Sabha. Is that going to be the final chapter of your long political career, or are you now ready to retire?
I never retire. The day I retire is the day I sleep forever. I hope God gives me that strength. That not only Jammu and Kashmir, but I work for whole India. For strengthening India. That is what I want.
And what's your final piece of advice for your son Omar?
My advice will be humble, listen, keep your ears open, eyes open, and take decisions by taking people into confidence. Never think that you are a Führer. Always think you're people's servant and be humble and serve the people. That will go for you forever. That is what matters to all of us. Never think that you are king. Think you are a servant of the people, sitting on that chair where people have brought you.
Let me leave it there, Farooq Abdullah. Those are fine words that you're giving to your son as advice on the day that he took over as Jammu and Kashmir's Chief Minister for a second time. I appreciate you joining me here on the show tonight. Thank you so much.
Rajdeep, help us to see that this state progresses. If we are ever wrong, please be first to tell us. We love that. God bless you, and God bless your program.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Farooq Abdullah making it clear he's never retiring from politics. But let me turn to the latest breaking news that we are getting in, which is the inside track once again on the Baba Siddiqui murder probe in Mumbai. The shooters of the former MLA in Mumbai used a bike for a recce, waited for 45 minutes for Baba Siddiqui. Turkish-made pistol was found near the shooting spot. The pistol is likely to have been used in Baba Siddiqui's murder. Remember, we are also told that these shooters had actually planned 10 previous attempts in the last month alone to target Baba Siddiqui. So clearly, it was meant to spread panic in a way. Divesh Singh is joining me at the moment. Divesh, as of now, you're giving us these details, but we are still no closer to finding out a motive and whether it was really the Lawrence Bishnoi gang that took this contract.
Well, Rajdeep, the evidence that has been collected, the role of Shubham Lonkar, Praveen Lonkar, Zishan Akhtar, and now a Turkish-made pistol being used to kill Baba Siddiqui. These evidence have come to light, and these directly link, these bring out a link directly to the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Remember, singer Sidhu Moosewala was shot at by using a Turkish pistol in the Salman Khan firing case, or the conspiracy to hit Salman Khan, attack Salman Khan at his Panvel farmhouse. The charge sheet filed by the Navi Mumbai police also mentioned Turkish Zigana pistol being procured by the Lawrence Bishnoi gang members. And now this recovery of this Turkish-made pistol for 250 meters from the spot where Babu Siddiqui was killed, and a bag carrying Aadhaar card of Shiv Kumar Gautam, the alleged shooter who's still at large, directly links to the Lawrence Bishnoi gang. Though Mumbai police is yet to come on record and say that this indeed is a Lawrence Bishnoi gang hit that was carried out upon Baba Siddiqui, killing him. And motive behind it is yet to be known, because the handlers Shubham Lonkar and Zishan Akhtar are still at large. They are yet to be nabbed. Mumbai's teams are spanning across various states. They've also issued lookout orders so that none of the wanted accused flee outside the country. But
so you're saying it's almost certain that it's a Lawrence Bishnoi gang that was responsible? Motive still not known.
Well, Rajdeep, it seems Mumbai police did confirm that this was a Supari killing. This was a contract hit job that was done. And now the members of Lawrence Bishnoi gang are involved here in this case. So it directly links, this case has direct links to the Lawrence Bishnoi gang.
Right.
But Mumbai police is waiting for the arrest of the handlers so that they could bring to light the complete conspiracy of what was the motive. Why did the hit job happen? Was it for money? Was it a contract given by someone else who had dispute with Baba Siddiqui, who wanted Baba Siddiqui eliminated? That is yet to be known. But yes, there are footprints of Lawrence Bishnoi gang all over in this case, with the names of the wanted accused, the names of the arrested accused. The details that have come out seems to have direct links with the Lawrence Bishnoi gang.
Let's leave it there, Divesh Singh. Lawrence Bishnoi gang clearly under the scanner. Think about it. A gangster sitting in a jail in Sabarmati is taking contract killings to kill a former MLA and minister in Maharashtra. And the Lawrence Bishnoi gang could also have a twist in what is happening between India and Canada, which is where we are turning now. The diplomatic ties between the two countries continue to worsen. Five Eyes allies, United States of America, United Kingdom, New Zealand and Australia have now openly backed Canada and claimed that allegations leveled by Canada are serious in nature. They're all urging India to cooperate with the investigation. India remains firm and claims that not a shred of evidence has been shared with the Indian authorities yet. How is this all playing out? Take a look at this report.
Just 4 days after his meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday climbed up the escalation ladder in a dramatic fashion, directly implicating the government of India in the assassination of Khalistani separatist Rajdeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil.
As the RCMP Commissioner stated earlier, they have clear and compelling evidence that agents of the Government of India have engaged in and continue to engage in activities that pose a significant threat to public safety.
The ties between the two countries plumbed new lows this week after tit-for-tat expulsion of 6 diplomats over Canada's charge that the Indian government used the Lawrence Bishnoi gang to target Khalistani separatists abroad. What is clear is Canada is acting in tandem with the United States, where the FBI is investigating an alleged plot to kill Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, a Khalistani leader designated as a terrorist by India. The US State Department on Tuesday said India should cooperate with the Canadian probe.
We have made clear that the allegations are extremely serious and they need to be taken seriously, and we wanted to see the government of India cooperate with Canada in its investigation. Obviously, they have not chosen that path.
The UK, Australia and New Zealand, which are part of the Five Eyes intelligence network along with the US and Canada, issued similar statements backing the Canadian investigation. India's response has been two-pronged. While New Delhi is engaging with the US, it outrightly rejected Trudeau's charges, describing them as Trudeau saying same old things for same old reasons. Ministry of External Affairs sources said Canada has provided no credible proof to back its charges. Trudeau's critics have been accusing him of pandering to Sikh hardliners in Canada with an eye on elections next year. The latest diplomatic standoff comes ahead of Trudeau's Wednesday deposition before an inquiry into alleged Chinese interference in the last two Canadian elections. Interestingly, Canadian Security Intelligence Service Interim Director Vanessa Lloyd had last month testified before the federal inquiry that Pakistan was providing help to Khalistani elements in the country. Canadian authorities' soft handling of Sikh separatists who have targeted Indians has been a bone of contention between New Delhi and Ottawa. Bureau Report, India Today.
So are we witnessing now a total collapse or a meltdown in India-Canada ties? What is Trudeau's game plan now? Are the US and Canada crucially working in tandem? And where does that leave India's options? Joining me now, Vivek Kaju, former Secretary, Ministry of External Affairs, Michael Kugelman, Director, South Asia Institute in Washington, D.C., and Terry Milewski, Canadian journalist, joining me from Toronto in Canada. Appreciate all of you joining us. Let me come to you, Mr. Kaju, first, because you've written on this, I saw in one of the papers this morning, and you seem to suggest that Trudeau has crossed a certain red line by taking what could have been handled diplomatically into the political domain. But we've seen today the United States supporting him, Great Britain supporting him, Australia supporting him. Are we, in a sense, therefore, as a nation, finding ourselves being surrounded by these Five Eye allies?
No, I'm not surprised at all. And the Five Eye allies supporting Trudeau, after all, they are allies, and at crucial times, allies in such matters come together. That's not the point. The point is that Trudeau has upped the ante by really taking it in the political domain, and he has done so through leaks in the Washington Post, for instance. That is unprecedented. In my diplomatic experience, that's never done. Because if you take something, these issues out of the intelligence and the diplomatic domain into trading direct charges of such kind on ministers, and knowing full well that in democracies, ministers don't get involved in operational matters ever, then you have crossed, as you have rightly said, a red line, and getting back from that red line becomes extremely, extremely difficult.
Okay, let's then come, and I'll come back to the US position in a moment because that's critical, but let's first look at it from a Canadian perspective. Terry Milewski, what prompted Trudeau, or what continues to prompt Trudeau to push the envelope? Is it the fact that he faces serious charges about Chinese interference in Canada? He's had to depose before your parliament, and he's trying to diffuse that issue, or the fact that his government remains almost hostage to Sikh extremist groups, or those who we classify here as Sikh extremists?
I think we've heard plenty of conspiracy theories about Trudeau's motives, that he's in cahoots with the CIA, he's trying to cover up Chinese interference in Canadian elections, and so forth. However, India has a problem. All of this about how Trudeau is a bad man and his tactics and how he's doing this, I would like to ask you one question. How on earth should Canada expect that India will act on these allegations and engage in a proper investigation of these allegations if you won't do it when you go public? How were the Canadians to expect that they would do anything when they approached them diplomatically, as they certainly did, before going public? It's no use accusing Trudeau of breaching some diplomatic niceties by going public. That was after the Canadians raised it with the Indians. Now, Canada has failed utterly for 40 years to take account, to respect India's legitimate complaints that Canada has whistled past the graveyard, ignored Khalistani violence, ignored Indian warnings, about more violence to come. Need I even mention the Air India bombing of 1985, which was bombed in plain sight of the Indian authorities and of the Canadian
Sir,
authorities.
I'm going to stop you for a moment because I'm having an audio problem. I want to listen to you. You're saying something very important. We're just getting your audio connected again, Mr. Milewski. While you do that, Michael Kugelman explained the American position. America, very clear today, they believe that the allegations made by Canada are grave, that India needs to cooperate with the probe. Is America sending out a message that we stand with Canada, and more importantly, that the conspiracy that we see taking place in our own country against alleged Khalistani sympathizers is linked to what is the case being brought up by Canada? Are US and Canada working in tandem on this?
Yeah, they absolutely are working in tandem. The U.S. and Canada have been sharing intelligence ever since these allegations first got out there. And as was noted before, that's exactly what you would expect. The U.S. and Canada, they're not only Five Eyes allies, they're treaty allies. They work very closely and share intelligence on everything, particularly when it comes to things like this, which are clearly very serious. So yeah, the U.S. position has been very consistent from the start, that it said that it takes these allegations that Canada's brought out there very seriously, and it's called on India to cooperate. And yet we heard just recently Washington essentially indicate that it agrees with Canada that India is not cooperating in
But
in
Michael, what does cooperation mean? If I may press you, what does cooperation mean? When the US says India must cooperate, what is India to do? If a sovereign nation like Canada is going public with these allegations, how is India then going to cooperate? What is the cooperation if all of this is going to play out in the public domain on a very sensitive issue?
Right, that's a fair point. I mean, I think that the meaning here is that the U.S. is hoping that India will take seriously the allegations that Canada has put before India, and one could expect that privately Canada may well have shared evidence with India to back up its allegations. We don't know, but the core issue here, as you know, is that India has been cooperating with the U.S. vis-a-vis its own allegations. But that's because I would argue that the U.S. has gone about this very differently than Canada has. Right? The U.S. has said very little. It has not put its allegations against India vis-a-vis its alleged involvement in an attempted assassination of Mr. Panoon last year. It has not put those allegations in the public, but what it has put out there in the public, it's backed up with evidence. There was an indictment that was unsealed last year. But of course, in the Canada case, there's been a lot of allegations put out there in the public, but not much evidence provided for that. And I think that it would be very difficult to expect India to be willing to cooperate, given that Canada has gone about this so differently than the U.S. has. But bottom line, the U.S. is going to stand with Canada, but it also wants to see Canada's relationship with India not fall apart. I think the U.S. has a strong interest in the Canada-India relationship retaining some of the potential that it has in the past. We know that Canada and India have had a robust trade relationship. They have some strategic convergences vis-a-vis the Indo-Pacific. But yeah, bottom line is that the U.S. takes the Canadian allegations seriously, and it wants to see India be willing to take these allegations seriously and work with Canada to address them.
But as you said, the US is responding very differently to the way Trudeau is. US showing the maturity of not playing this out as a public spat. Canada seemingly doing that. And we're getting news even as we speak. Justin Trudeau is deposing at the moment in Canada in front of the Foreign Interference Inquiry. And there he says, I brought this up with Modi at the end of the G20 and I shared that we knew India was involved. However, he's admitting that the nature of the information was more intel rather than hard information. Clearly at the moment, Trudeau is making it very clear that he had actually raised these issues with the Indian government much earlier, as early as the G20 last year. Mr. Milewski, you're back with us. Tell us, do you believe that Justin Trudeau is going for broke because of his domestic situation? Or does he have more than we don't know?
No, I don't believe that it's some conspiracy to cook up these charges in order to save Trudeau's political neck. His neck is in big trouble anyway, regardless of he is probably going to lose the next election. He's toast anyway. It's not going to be affected one way or the other by the Jewish medical industry to be followed. The fact of the matter is that it is established pretty well. The RCMP is not, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police is not a political organization. They have declared that indeed these allegations are true. And we know of several meetings, at least the high-level meetings, which the Canadians did present evidence. Maybe the Canadians didn't think it was enough, but they did present evidence in support of their allegations. Now, where do we go from here? I suspect the only way out of this diplomatic Donnybrook is for some dirty, grubby little deal to be done, whereby India takes some limited responsibility, light sentences are issued, the Americans get some of the accountability that they wanted, the Canadians get some, but not much of what they wanted, and the matter is swept under the rug, and India promises never to do it again. In the meantime, with luck, India will get what it wants in a more aggressive attitude.
Okay.
Finally, and after 40 years of toleration of Khalistani violence and threats of violence, finally get the.
So there is going to be, from what I'm catching you, we have a slightly bad audio with you, Mr. Milisky, but I got your main central point. You're suggesting there will have to be possibly some kind of a backroom deal now struck where both sides get some element of what they want. India wants Canada to be seen to be actively acting against those who are seen as anti-India elements operating out of Canadian soil, and Canada wants to see some visible action of some responsibility taken. Vivek Kaju, is that the way forward for diplomats now to work behind the scenes? Because, we are getting these responses from Trudeau now before his own parliament where he's going for India again. He's making it very clear that he is someone who's not going to back off.
Trudeau has made it very political. And that's unwise, because in interstate issues of this nature, they are best resolved diplomatically.
But sir, he says he's provided evidence to India at past summits, including at G20. He claims that even at the end of the G20 summit, those pictures you're seeing last year, he provided information or intel that the Canadians had.
Rajdeep, let us distinguish between evidence and intel. Mm-hmm. Intel is not evidence. Evidence is something that is sustainable in a court of law. And intel is seldom used in a court of law. So what India is telling him, I think, is that provide us with something that will stand up in your court of laws. That he has not done. Instead, what has he done? In my diplomatic experience, never has a head of mission been declared as a person of interest and that another state wants his diplomatic immunity to be lifted. Mm-hmm. Which means that Canada wanted that the Indian High Commissioner should no longer be High Commissioner, that he should be treated like an ordinary person of interest. Now, there is no legal term, I believe, which defines a person of interest. It means that someone who may have some knowledge and that he's someone who is to be quizzed. Never is this done. So, they've crossed many red lines.
Have we also, but Mr. Kaju, they've crossed red lines. That's taken. Should we also be introspecting as to how we've handled it? We claim that we want to be a global superpower. Global superpowers do not go around the world using gangsters allegedly like Lawrence Bishnoi or Goldie Brar to take out anyone.
Rajdeep, I'm not for one moment saying that what India has done in this case, I do not know as a private citizen, I'm not aware. But let us not talk of what global superpowers do to protect their interests. Mm-hmm. The Western democracies, and I say this with all responsibility, are the first to push freedom, fundamental freedoms, civil rights, international law. When their own security interests are threatened, they leave these notions far behind. History, I wrote in my article today, history is littered with such examples. So let us not talk of these double
you make an
standards
excellent point.
that Western democracies
You make an excellent point there, which I think Michael Kugelman, Western democracies, particularly the United States, also want to protect their national interests. India chooses to protect national interests. We can argue about the means adopted, but the fact is that you've got Khalistani extremists who are being patronized under the name of freedom of speech, and therefore if India stands up for what it believes its national interests, why is the US in a tizzy? Why is Canada in a tizzy?
Well, I wouldn't say that the U.S. is in a tizzy. I think that it's actually been quite restrained in its public messaging about what Canada's dealing with and what the U.S. has been dealing with. But no, look, I acknowledge the point made, the critique made about Western democracies, and I know that many observers have cited a number of examples of the U.S. engaging in what one could describe as extrajudicial killings. Whether you're talking about the Trump administration's decision to take out Soleimani in Iran, or the decision to take out bin Laden in Pakistan. One could argue that you could make some distinguish between those cases, but sure, I take that. But look, at the end of the day, these are close partners, right? I mean, India and the U.S. are close strategic partners. India and Canada had been close strategic partners for quite some time, and I think the concern is that you have, Canada and the U.S. are very concerned that the U.S. the U.S. and Canada are very concerned that India has carried out activities like this that one would not expect from a country that is, a close partner, an intelligence partner, and so on. And in the Canadian case, whether you agree or not with the latest allegations that Canada has put out there, these are extremely serious. And I think you had referenced this before, Rajdeep. I mean, even the allegation that senior Indian diplomats in Canada are actually involved in some type of criminal racket. I mean, that's extremely serious. Absolutely. It's important to carry that out in the investigation, to carry it out, to see the evidence and figure out what really is going on. But I really don't think that Canada's government at the highest levels would make these allegations unless it, had something to base them on. Let's be very clear about that.
Okay, I just have a minute. I don't know whether Mr. Miliuski is still with us, but I just wanted to get a response as to where does this go, Mr. Miliuski, now? How far will Canada stretch it according to you, or is all dependent on who wins the elections now in Canada?
Well, Trudeau is all in, and I think whoever takes over from Trudeau, if he does, as expected, lose the next election next year, whoever takes over as Prime Minister is going to face the same problem. Is it okay for India to run around taking out its enemies on Canadian soil? Is there a Prime Minister available in Canada waiting who's going to say, I don't care, if India wants to come here and kill its enemies, that's fine. I mean, one dead terrorist, who cares? I don't think that there's a Canadian Prime Minister in the wings who is going to take that attitude. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
So India is facing a real problem. Evidence. Yeah, they can say until they're blue in the face that there's no evidence, but there are trials coming. November the 4th, the trial of the suspects in the assassination of Rupert Singh Malik, the Air India suspect. And then after that, there'll be a trial in New York of Nikhil Gupta, accused of handling a murder for hire plot in New York. And then there will be a trial of the 4 accused punks, really gangsters, of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey last year. So all of this evidence it's going to hit the fan.
And so you're saying something deeply worrying. You're saying the evidence could hit the fan. This is only the beginning. You're saying there will be public trials that will take place in the United States, in Canada. You're giving the Canadian perspective. I have only 15 seconds, Mr. Kanju, but I'll give you those 15.
Look, I have said in my article today that yes, when the matters go to court, because 4 Indians are in Canadian custody and they'll be taken to court, and at that stage, India will have to cross a bridge. I've said that. Okay. Of course, when the matters reach the court and evidence is produced in court, thereafter the Indians will have some work cut out. But this sanctimoniousness of human rights and international law, etc., that is the point that I was making, that Western democracies, including Canada and and the United States must introspect.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. You made that point. You made it strongly. Western democracies should quit the sanctimoniousness. But dare I say, India too is going to have to introspect. Let's turn to tonight's ground report, which comes from Bengaluru, where continuous rain affected daily life in the city, several areas witnessing waterlogging and traffic congestion. The weather department has issued an orange alert, following which schools have been ordered shut. Companies advised to allow their employees to work from home. Take a look.
Streets flooded, IT parks waterlogged, commuters stranded, apartment basements flooded. This was Bengaluru on Wednesday. Hours of heavy rainfall crippled life in India's IT city for 2 consecutive days. The Karnataka government announced a holiday for all schools and colleges on Wednesday. The city's civic body, BBMP, along with disaster management officials, used a tractor to move stranded residents from an apartment in Yelahanka. The entire complex was flooded, making it impossible for residents to move out.
We are at Kendriya Vihar apartment near Yelahanka. Due to heavy rains from past 2 to 3 days, and the houses are flooded up to knee level. As we speak now, you can see the residents have been rescued through tractors and have been taken to safer places. There is a lake adjacent to this particular apartment, probably a man-made disaster, which allows flooding in this particular area.
It is flooding from last month, from 2 weeks past, because the compound wall is broken. Outside the compound wall is a lake. Height of the Kogulu lake is more than the apartment's compound wall.
It's been often since it's flooded. It's always the same thing. It's never changing. I don't know what they'll do.
Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar has cautioned citizens to remain vigilant amidst the heavy rains.
We will sort out whatever the problems are there, we'll sort out. There is no problem in it. We are already on the job. We'll see that there will be no problems on drainage, sewage, power supply, traffic and all. We are managing it.
The Phoenix Mall of Asia, located in the same area, was also waist deep in water. The Manyata Tech Park was also flooded due to the incessant downpour. Many companies on the 300-acre campus instructed employees to stay in their offices and wait for the water to clear out. A section at a construction site in Manyata Tech Park caved in. Heavy rains washed out the second session of the opening test between India and New Zealand in Bengaluru. The weather department has predicted more rainfall on Thursday and Friday.
The opposition in the state have also criticized Karnataka government the mismanagement of rescue operation during the rains. While Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar has slammed opposition, stating that they are trying to defame brand Bengaluru and the government is capable enough to handle the heavier rain than this. With your James Madhu Sagai reporting for India Today, Bengaluru.
Sagai Raj reporting there from Bengaluru. Let's turn to tonight's Get Real India story, where a police recruitment drive in Chhattisgarh, which began in 2018, has still not finished. That's right, 6 years ago. The exam was finally held in 2023, but the High Court found a few anomalies, and since then, the entire recruitment process has come to a halt. Students are now protesting in Raipur, demanding justice. What Raipur thinks today, other parts of the country may also be thinking, with paper leaks and more. It's our Get Real India story.
A test that never ends. The Chhattisgarh police recruitment drive, launched in 2018, is yet to finish even after 6 years. The state government issued notification in 2018 inviting applications for 655 vacancies of sub-inspectors, subedars and platoon commandos. The Raman Singh government on February 8, 2018 simplified the recruitment, cutting an 11-step process to 3: physical test, written test and interview. In December 2018, the Congress came to power. Despite a notification issued in August 2018, no exam was conducted till December 2019. It wasn't held in 2020 and 2021 either due to COVID pandemic. The Bhupesh Baghel government in July 2021 announced more vacancies, but changed rules to bring back the 11-step recruitment process. After a long silence, on January 18, 2023, the dates were announced for the preliminary exam. The test was held in 10 days later on January 29th. 2,500 aspirants were ousted in the results published on May 16, 2023. On May 18th, a petition was filed in the High Court challenging the tests. On 26th May 2023, the three mains were conducted in a new format. DGP Ashok Juneja took the results in a closed envelope to the then Chief Minister House on June 11th. The main results were released on 21st June. 370 aspirants were ousted, citing anomalies. In August, the High Court observed that there were many anomalies in the conduct of the exam. It asked the state government to re-examine the whole process and take back the 370 ousted candidates. Since then, the recruitment process hasn't moved an inch.
The sub-inspector recruitment is in the eye of a political storm, and in fact, hundreds of aspirants of sub-inspector exams are in fact sitting here outside Raipur protesting and asking this very basic question: when will their results come out? In fact, this exam, the exam in question is the exam that happened and occurred in 2018. 5 years have gone by, still no results in hindsight. They are sitting here completely hopeless.
Many aspirants are demanding that the whole process be cancelled and new exams be announced.
जैसे गृह मंत्री जी ने आश्वासन दिया है कि 10 से 15 दिन में रिजल्ट बन जाएगा करके या जारी कर दिया जाएगा करके, आज वैसे भी 12-13 दिन कंप्लीट हो चुका है. पता नहीं वो और किस बात का इंतजार कर रहे हैं. हम लोगों की सूद लेने वाला कोई नहीं है, कोई प्रतिनिधि नहीं आया अभी तक देखने के लिए.
The High Court, meanwhile, has ordered the government to release the results.
राज्य सरकार पूरी संजीदगी इस विषय पर दिखा रही है. जैसा जैसा कोर्ट का निर्देश मिल रहा है, राज्य सरकार उसका पालन करते हुए आगे बढ़ रही है और जल्द फैसला छात्रों के हक में आएगा.
And 6 years on, the youth are still waiting for jobs. With Sumi Rajapan in Chhattisgarh, Bureau Report, India Today.
These are the real stories of real Indians that you will often not see on other news channels. Let's leave you with our good news today story, a story of a team of scientists who've developed a new device to check the purity of milk. This device uses watermelon seeds to find if urea is being used to adulterate milk. Take a look at tonight's good news today story as I leave you. Good night, goodbye. Jai Hind, Namaskar.
A new device to detect adulteration in milk. Scientists at IIT BHU have developed this unique bioelectronic device which picks the presence of urea in milk. According to them, the device is cost-effective thanks to its key ingredient, watermelon seeds.
एंजाइम डाल के ये जो हम लोग ने चिप दिखाया है यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी हम लोग ने यूरेज डाल लिया है और फिर उसके बाद बस हम लोगों को मिल्क लेना है और वो भी बहुत कम क्वांटिटी में 10 माइक्रोलीटर्स में हो जाएगा और दूध डालने के बाद इस चिप के ऊपर में ये जो हम लोग ने कनेक्ट किया है डिवाइस से उसको रन करके फिर यहाँ पे रियल टाइम में आपको दिखेगा ये पीक और ये जो पीक आ रहा है.
The research team says the urease enzyme in watermelon seeds breaks down urea, creating an efficient, affordable biosensor.
जो बीज होता है आपका ये तरबूजे के बीज के अंदर से लोगों ने कुछ रिपोर्ट किया तो कुछ बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट केमिकल्स होते हैं, तो हम लोगों ने उसको ट्राई किया और उसके अंदर से यूरियस एंजाइम एक निकाला. उसके यूरियस एंजाइम निकालने के बाद हम लोगों ने सोचा कि इसको एक ऐसा कुछ बायो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक इंटरफेस डेवलप करें जिससे हमको यूरिया तुरंत से पता चल जाए दूध के अंदर. तो ये पूरा थॉट था.
Scientists claim the sensor meets regulatory standards and could soon replace on-site testing at dairy farms, providing quick and reliable results. Bureau Report, India Today.